I'm Edwin Ellis. I'm one of the co-authors of the Strategic Instruction Model, or better known as SIM, that was developed at the University of Kansas Center for Research on Learning. In this video, we're going to be focusing on the procedure Essentials DVT, which is part of a set of instructional resources from the differentiated science software that I developed for addressing the next generation science standards, as well as the Common Core standards for English language arts, science, and technical subjects. We'll start with the name of the procedure, and then a section on the visual that addresses the bigger picture, like what's its purpose. Likewise, we'll also address the conditions, as in when to apply the procedure and when not to, and then lay out their specific details or distinctive features of each of those steps of the procedure, followed by looking at some relationships between the procedure and some other key ideas. So for an example, we'll have a section on the visual that the procedure is connected to this idea and because, and it's also connected to this other idea and because. So an example of how a friend of mine, a science teacher, Houston Blackwood, applied this in his classroom when he was addressing the procedure associated with creating and sharing a Google Drive item. I'm not going to read all this to you, but it just sort of illustrates how he used it. And so notice that you can insert pictures into these. So this is just a quick example of how a teacher might use this particular DVT when addressing a procedure. A few instructional tips. You can use this at the beginning of a lesson to do things like activate background knowledge or review prior instruction. You can use it during the lesson for doing things like using guided note-taking or co-constructing notes as you're analyzing a procedure and you're teaching students about it, using the DVT to structure that discussion. You can use it to structure close reading activities. So you could use this when modeling and providing guided practice in terms of how to apply close reading strategies and using the DVT to structure what to look for as they're engaged in close reading. So as you can see, this DVT is also designed to address some of the key standards from the core that address reading about science. You can also use this at the end of a lesson to do things like anchor the key ideas that you address during the lesson and to review those key ideas. And you can also do things like have students use the completed version of the DVT to practice verbally explaining the procedure. What we find is that when students verbally explain the ideas on the notes, it significantly enhances their understanding and memory of the information. They can also use the notes on the DVT as sort of like a pre-writing organizer when they're writing about a procedure. Thus, this DVT also addresses one of the core writing standards. Important to understand is that this DVT can be used when teaching or reading or writing about any procedure. For an example, how to implement an experiment, or the procedure for disposing of dangerous chemicals, or the procedure for building a model of some kind, and so forth. So this DVT is one of several designed to address procedure essential understandings. And so there's not just one of them, there's several, which is also part of an extensive set of science DVTs in the program. So for an example, I've designed a series of DVTs for addressing phenomena essential understandings, as well as those associated with the discovery, life forms, structures and systems, theories, experiments, and so forth. So you can see how this one DVT sort of fits into the bigger picture. If you're interested in accessing a PowerPoint slide or an interactive PD version of this DVT, by interactive I mean you can use a keyboard to type information onto the DVT and then save it into folders and do things like email it to students and so forth. You can access the free sample of this by downloading the Science DVTs program demo from our website. Also, if you're interested in purchasing the Science DVTs program, you can order CDs or also get it as an immediate download at our website, makesensestrategies.com. For information about multi-user licenses or bulk purchases of the program, please send us an email at visualtools@makesensestrategies.com.